Now, welcome back to the second part of the programme. That was lovely with Mary and Joan earlier on, and to Louise, Casey, and to all the family relations. Stay safe, mind yourselves, and isn't it lovely to be celebrating your birthday, no matter what age. We got a lovely text in. Can you please wish happy 12th birthday to our beautiful daughter, Alex Byrne? Love you loads, Mum, from Chloe, Jack, Bobby and your nephew, Sam. And John sent us a text to wish his wife, Lisa Finn, a very happy birthday. Lots of love from himself and from Katie and from Dara. If I don't get to any birthday requests, Jeff will get to them later. For example, our nephew Derek Power, a happy 40th birthday. Lots of love from all the Power family. We're going to go now to a matter concerning an awful lot of parents and youngsters. Paul O'Reilly, good morning.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
Sure, I'm grand, thanks. I'm grand. How's it going yourself?
Good. Can't complain.
Nobody would listen, would they?
Exactly.
Would the Education Minister, Joe McHugh, listen if you rang him and complained, huh?
I'd say no, he's got enough people giving him advice at the moment, so I'd be fairly at the bottom of the queue, I'd say, Damien.
You're the ASTI rep, Associated Secondary School Teachers of Ireland, a representative. You're also a guidance counsellor at Waterpark College. Thank you very much for taking our call.
Good to be here.
Not at all. It's good to talk to you because we are constantly getting texts and messages into the programme here about what's happening with exams. And we know the Minister is trying to do his best. We know the Department are trying to do their best.
Yeah.
And things have changed and are changing every second day, I suppose. Now, the Minister has suggested he wants the Leaving Cert to go ahead on July 29th.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Leaving Cert first, because that's, I suppose, the most important one for so many pupils and parents.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the matter, Paul?
I suppose it's a difficult situation for everybody, Damien. And as you said there, rightly, the Minister is doing the best he can. And students are, I suppose, at the centre of it all. And it's a difficult situation for them, but we just need to manage it, I suppose, really, and support them and just get them over the line. That's kind of my take, really, you know. Yeah,
like this week is obviously the week that the schools were due to be back. There's students, my own young lad and my daughter studying at present. I hope they are anyway. Yeah. And this remote learning, and for some pupils it's okay. They're able to manage it. For others, it's not. And then you've got different levels of interaction, I suppose, with different teachers. There are some subjects, though, in particular, Paul. Like, for example, biology. A student's doing biology for their Leaving Cert. A lot of the biology course is based around practicals and based around learning within the experiments in the lab. That's really, really difficult.
It is difficult, Damien, and we actually had a staff meeting there last Monday, and that actually did come up, and the teacher was expressing her concern around that area. But again, we're just managing the resources that we have at our disposal, the online teaching, interacting with the students online, and that's all we can do. I suppose maybe using YouTube as well, looking at experiments on YouTube. Teachers are sending out links to that. It's not the same as doing it in the classroom, obviously, but we are where we are, and we just have to make the best of the situation, Damien. You know.
Yeah. What about fifth years? Because there may well be, we don't know what's going to happen with the Leaving Cert in total, there may well be a lighter marking grading. We don't know. The Minister wouldn't say that at the minute. But like fifth years as well, a lot of them are being very discommoded because a lot of fifth years would be doing a lot of the sixth year, the Leaving Cert course. They'd do it in fifth year, wouldn't they? And they're going to be under pressure as well.
Yeah, well, I suppose we need to keep in mind, Damien, that teaching is ongoing, you know, that teachers are teaching and students are learning. No, I know it is remote learning, but you'd be surprised actually what can be done, you know. So teaching is continuing. Students are still learning. So fifth years are not going to lose out, you know. I mean, they just need to keep focused. I know it's hard. It's not the same as being in school where everything is much more structured. But any fifth-year students out there who are listening, I just say to them, you know, to keep working, stick to a routine, and remember that you're in year one of a 2-year cycle, There's one more year to go after this year, and just keep working and stay positive,
Yeah, I know you're right, Paul, and that's what you have to say, but the practicalities of it, for example, okay, all the Irish colleges are now not going to have classes and courses during the summer.
Yeah.
So there's hundreds of Waterford students that were due to go to Rhine. There's hundreds of students that were due to go to other parts of the country, to Connemara, Gaeltacht, to Fiontraw and Ventry and Kerry and whatever the place may be. That 2 or 3 weeks of intensive Irish learning to form the basis of the oral Irish exams next year, that's now been taken away as well. So again, that's another thing that's concerning some parents. I'm not, and some students. Like, I'm not trying to raise things unduly here. I'm just stating the facts.
Yeah. I mean, you're right in the point you're making, Damien. What I'd say to that, I suppose, is that it just reduces everything to a level playing field, in the sense that nobody will be going to the Gaeltacht this year, unfortunately, because, I mean, my own son actually had been hoping to go to Connemara in June. That's not going to happen by the looks of it. But at the same time, nobody's going to go. So if you're looking at it from a sort of a playing field point of view, it's a level playing field now. People are not going to have the benefit of going to the Gaeltacht in this summer, unfortunately. I'm a Gaelgoer myself. I mean, I love the Irish language. But from preparing from the Leaving Cert point of view, it's just back to, as I said, it's something that nobody will have this year, and it's just everybody is losing out. But it's at the same time, it's being done equally. If that makes sense.
I know the level playing field argument, and I agree with you in one sense, and yet there's some students that would want to increase their level of Irish and try and bring them up a little bit because they may not feel great. Then there's others that may have gone to Gaelscoileanna, whatever, and they want to enhance. So yeah, there's different aspects there with that. Let's talk about the junior cert for a minute. 2 schools, one in Tralee and one in Kilkenny, have now opted out of the junior cert, and they're going to do school-based assessments instead. So at the minute, the department is saying that they are going to go ahead with a form of the junior cert when the schools return, hopefully in September. Is that what's planned at the minute?
That's the plan. The minister, in his statement on Good Friday, said that there will be school-based assessments and exams held early in the new year when we go back. And I've heard, you're right in what you're saying. There's been a few schools around the country who are saying that they are going to opt out of the junior cert exam in September completely and do things in a different way. And then I looked at the department's website yesterday, and a statement came out, and the minister has asked schools to hold off for the moment because, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's very high-level discussions going on in the department, I presume remotely, with the different stakeholders, and they're trying to come to a position. Obviously, they're working mainly on the Leaving Cert and getting the details right around that. But the junior cert as well, there'll be more guidelines will come out. So I think what he's basically asking is for schools to hold off until those guidelines can come out, and then schools can make a more informed decision.
Yeah, well, no, we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, I know it's very, very difficult regarding that. What about the National Parents Council, Paul? They did a survey of students. 71% of Leaving Cert students say they're not in favour of holding the exams in the summer. Now, where does this... let me ask you a very simple question. I know you're not speaking for the ASTI, and it's just, I suppose, a personal opinion, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but what happens if the Leaving Cert doesn't go ahead?
Yeah. So there's a lot of what-ifs, Damien, at the moment, and I suppose gazing into a crystal ball, we'd be able to see into the future and know exactly what's going to happen. Unfortunately, we don't have that crystal ball. What students need, Damien, and parents as well, is as much clarity as possible. So that's why the minister came out on the Good Friday and made that statement, saying that he's going to put the full weight of the department and the teaching profession behind getting the Leaving Cert over the line. And my advice to students, especially because that's kind of the area that I'm working in, is to stick to the plan and stick to what the minister is saying, and really, these kind of surveys, I don't really think they're helpful, to be honest. I think that there's a system in place. It's the minister, it's the department, it's the teachers. As I said, everybody's working to a plan, to a script, and the plan at the moment is that the Leaving Cert will take place on the 29th of July. So I don't think it's helpful, really, Damien, for students to be hearing this kind of news.
Yeah.
I think we need to say to them, listen, stay focused, don't get distracted, and as I said, stay with the plan and don't get diverted.
Yeah, no, I understand, and yet you can understand from the parents' council point of view, they're fully within their rights to ask their students and see what the survey, see what they'd say, because it is difficult. It's very, very difficult, and nobody's underestimating that. And a few people are texting in about the pressures that the students are under, and then the idea of having to study all summer as well. And the plan at the minute is that the schools will go back, Leaving Cert students will go back just 2 weeks before the Leaving Cert starts.
Yeah. I think really maybe it's like the students were gearing up to run the 1,500 metres, let's say, and then suddenly it became the 2,000 metres or the 5,000 metres, let's say. And when you're in a longer race, Damien, you need to pace yourself differently. And I know that schools have been in touch with their sixth-year students, giving them advice about how to adjust to that new scenario, I suppose. And the minister, I suppose, it would have been better if there was more consultation in the lead up. But my guess is that he put it back to that date because it was giving the country, I suppose, more time to get back on its feet between now and then. And there was a much higher likelihood of the Leaving Cert going ahead at that point than if it had been an earlier date, let's say. So I know it drags things out, but it was done with the best intentions on the part of the minister. And, everybody is trying their best to get this thing over the line. And, students just need to, as I said, recalibrate, to use that word, and just get ready for a longer race. But, that's okay too. You just have to adjust to the new circumstances. And
then you've got people ringing in and they're saying the toing and froing is causing the stress among students. You're right, the department the definite information has to come out, as you've been saying. A couple of people texting in, what about sixth year students possibly might think of repeating? That could be another thing that might want to do. And what about sixth class students in primary schools going into first year? What's going to happen there?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, that's another thing. I met a neighbour actually, I was talking to her the other day, and she is a lad in sixth class, and it hadn't even struck me, but you are right, and that texter is right. It's another, factor in the equation that sixth class kids are, all the preparation that their teachers will be putting in, getting them ready for the transition into secondary school. It's being limited now by the present circumstances, and I suppose your heart goes out to them really because they're just kids, 12 years of age. But you can be sure that when they do come into us in September, we will be putting out all the stops to make them feel welcome and to help them make the adjustment.
Listen, Paul, I really appreciate you talking to us. Like I said, you're not speaking as an official ASTI rep. It's just personal comments, and I really appreciate it. No, you're very, very good, and you mind yourself. And
no problem.
Are you looking forward to working all summer, you are?
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Ian. Take it one day at a time.
Listen, to you and family, Paul, mind yourself, okay?
Thanks, Damien. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. Take it easy. Paul O'Reilly, ASTI rep, guidance counsellor at Waterpark College. What do you think? Another caller into 051846123. What happens to a student who is repeating just one subject? There you go. There's another one. Another texter in, actually that young girl that's celebrating her 12th birthday, Alex Byrne, her mammy just texted in, just listening there, and Alex was meant to make her confirmation in May. And a lot of people saying about the celebrations that can confirmation, obviously communions, and the fact that these little celebrations won't happen now. And then other sixth year students in different courses in nearly all schools, they normally at the end of term they have a kind of a little gathering, and they'd have maybe a game of rounders, or they'd have some sort of a celebration and teachers involved. That's all not going to happen this year. A lot of sixth year students very sad for that as well. This celebration to end your school years, that's not going to happen. So There's a lot of difficulties out there, and our hearts go out to everybody, students in particular and their parents, that are going through these really uncertain issues regarding exams and classes. Stay safe. Next we're going to talk to Owen regarding the Tramore races. Now I'm going to be talking to Owen Byrne in a second. Firstly, Richie reminds us from Dungarvan 30 years ago this week the Waterford Crystal Strike was in its third week. Julian O'Leary, Caseyville, Dungarvan, a very happy 9th birthday from Dad, Emily and Luke. Barbecue later to celebrate. Happy 21st to Christopher Brennan in Larchville from Anne in Clonea. And regarding the Leave It Cert, says Colette, it's very hard to call, but staying away from the deadly virus is the most important thing of all. What about practical art, says another texter. Happy birthday to Nick Cannell from Tramore as well, from the gang. Now, regarding horses, Claire has texted in, could you please tell listeners a friendly reminder regarding passing horses on the road? Myself and many of my friends often ride horses the country roads around the Portlaw area. Drivers don't seem to slow down or have any understanding of the unpredictable nature of the animals, and accidents can happen. Please just remind drivers, says Claire. On horses, Owen Byrne, good morning.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay. How are you?
Oh, we're doing fine. In isolation like everybody else, and the good weather gets you out and about for our 2 kilometres, but we'd all prefer to be doing a little bit more, but sure, we have to all stick together on this one, I suppose, for the time being, you know.
Yeah, a lot of the people now, when the good weather comes out, they think of the racing, they think of Tramore racecourse, they think of the August festival and the impact of large gatherings obviously being cancelled. What is going to happen with the August festival of racing in Tramore?
Well, as we stand at the moment, you know, there are no government guidelines for racing to resume. Obviously, we're hoping come May 5th that there may be some easing of those guidelines, and we'll make decisions based on that accordingly. We've been told to plan to be ready for a resumption of racing. All racecourses will be doing the same thing, you know, with essential maintenance only, as in the track. It's very important that track is maintained because it's purely from a safety point of view, you know, fertilised and cut and all that type of stuff. And we'll work towards, you know, getting our fixtures back for racing behind closed doors in the first phase. And August obviously would fall as part of that. So if racing resumes, we'd be very keen, obviously, to race behind closed doors at a minimum. And as restrictions are lifted then from there, you know, and that's how long it's a piece of string, Damien. No one knows really. If we do get it, I suppose we're a little bit different to a Galway. We don't have 30,000 people on a day. We'd have around, you know, your 5,000 on a day, bar Ladies' Day, which would be a very, very big day for us. But, you know, we work with what we'll be allowed to do. And if there's a possibility that we can race with a smaller crowd, we'll do so. But at the moment, I have to say, you know, the plan at the moment is to follow guidelines and be behind closed doors at the moment, unfortunately. But you know, there's bigger things at play here than racing, I'm afraid. You know?
Yeah, like Galway races, they've announced that if racing is allowed to resume, as you say, we don't know that yet, at the end of July, their festival will be held behind closed doors. What sort of numbers attend Tramore every day? I've been there obviously most years, but what are the numbers, Owen?
Yeah, well, look, we had a big increase in our numbers last year. Say, for example, the January New Year's Day, where we've had a Gold Cup winner come twice now. I hope we'll have him back next year for a great day when we can all really enjoy a day's racing. Was just under 7,000. Ladies' Day last year, I think you were there yourselves. It was a great day. There was just under 9,000 people. On a typical day, we'd be 3,500 people. During the festival, you know, we're in around, I think there was 22,000 people in total over the 4 days last year. So, you know, where we're a little bit different to a Galway with 30,000 people, you can't restrict that. It's not like Punchestown, the same as a Grand National Meeting in Fairyhouse. We're on the much smaller side there. You know, thankfully in this case, maybe there might be a chance that we can. But again, we just don't know if there's a relapse or there's any problems. You just can't say really, you know. But it's just important as an industry. I mean, I know lots of people would say, you know, sport has been restricted, and quite rightly so. We have an industry here though as well, and even in Waterford, I mean, it's quite significant. I mean, there's 1,000 jobs directly linked to racing in Waterford alone. And, you know, direct spend and stimulated spend there is 47 million just in the county. You know, so it's not a small number by any stretches the imagination, and just like the farmers up and down the country and in the county, people are riding out horses. The industry is kind of behind closed doors, and if you like, the racecourse is their march. It's like the farmers. They want to get the marts back open. We want to get the racetracks back open. So it's a very important part of the industry. It's not the be-all and end-all. There's a lot more important things, as we say, but at the same time, for when we can resume and we're allowed to do so, we'd be very keen to do it,
What's the financial situation, Owen? Can you survive?
Well, look, we're very lucky. Back in 1989, just to go back a bit, the racecourse was saved by a group of shareholders. And that group of shareholders all put in money to keep racing going in Waterford. And those people have stood by the racecourse through thick and thin, and we're always very grateful to as shareholders. There's never been one penny paid or taken out in a dividend from that racetrack by those shareholders. Not one penny. It all goes back into that track and maintaining it and giving people from Waterford and further afield an entertainment. So at the moment, we're okay. We've very much cut back on all of our spending. We're only working on, as guidelines permit, what's essential to be done, and we've trimmed back on that. So we've lost 2 fixtures already from April. We were due to race last weekend, and so we've lost those. So, the impact is significant, but we feel that we're in good enough position to keep our head above water at the moment. And the sooner, like every business, you have cash flows, and as soon as we can get back on track, we'll get back on track and support businesses locally as well, because we have a lot of indirect businesses like restaurants and bars who provide the services on our race day. They're suffering too, and we want to try and get all of that back. That's a long way off as we see it at the moment, unfortunately,
It is, yeah. We'll catch up with you in June, the end of June maybe, Owen, and see how things are looking. And
hopefully we might have a little bit more positive news and get people on a day out.
Listen to you, your family and everybody involved in Tramore Racecourse. Take care, OK?
Thank you very much. Same to you, Damien. Thanks again.
Owen. Pleasure talking
Bye-bye.
to you. Owen Byrne there, manager of Tramore Racecourse. What do you think? Let us know, please. 083 333 975. Mags has phoned in to say if the bookies will be open when the racing starts back. Her dad is in his 80s. He loves the racing, not online, but feels this would give him a little boost. Mark O'Neill and Wendy McAvoy, happy birthday from Aunt Lizzie and PJ. Damien, I agree with you regarding the 5th year students. They are going to suffer in a big way, says this texter. Another texter, I went into Lidl on the Cork Road in Waterford there recently, just yesterday. There was no queue when I went in, but the sanitizer was empty and the shop was fairly full. What do you think? Are people getting a bit relaxed about all of this? Let us know. And other people texting in about social distancing at the range and the range staying open where other shops may not be open. People asking, should hardware stores now start reopening if there's going to be some kind of a relaxation of the rules? Another big thing that's been happening in the last 4 to 5 weeks, a lot of people doing home exercise. A lot of people getting out of bed in the morning time and thinking, OK, I'm going to do a 15-minute Joe Wicks or I'm going to do Pilates or something, and they don't stretch properly and they end up pulling a muscle that they haven't pulled in 20 years. Muscles they didn't know they had. I speak from personal experience here. So we are going to talk to Anthony Phelan next. We want you to text us in, please. Any little funny stories you have, 083 333 975. If you haven't been getting out and about, or you're trying to get out and about, but you're doing some of these exercises at home, you're taking up a bit of running, we want to know how are you getting on. Please let us know. We're going to talk to Anthony next. Now, Anthony Phelan, good morning.
Damien, how are you keeping?
Sure, I'm grand, thanks. I'm grand. I recovered from the groin strain.
Good to hear. It's nice to hear that now.
I got up on Monday morning and I said, because I did a little bit of the Joe Wicks 15-minute workouts the previous week, but I did them in the afternoon when your body is kind of stretched. And I got up last Monday morning, 7:10 before I came to work. I said, grand, now I'll do a little bit of this. And so this is the high intensity. Let's just play a little bit. Have a listen to this, Anthony.
Get another backdrop, so I hope you're happy with the background because I've worked really hard for it. Got a sweat on the move sofas, I've been hoovering, there's all fluff everywhere, been sneezing. Ugh. Things I do for my YouTube channel, but I'm here because I love it and I want to put you through a good workout. So this is a 15-minute hit session. Nice and simple, 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds rest. I haven't even planned it. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's in my head, but
It's in his head, Anthony, yeah. So you do some of these workouts and they're great, and the Pilates workouts are great. I've done my first ever Pilates workout. You do a little bit of yoga, whatever. But if you don't stretch beforehand, you could end up doing serious damage, couldn't you?
Absolutely, and you made a key point there. It's important to ease yourself into it gently, Damien. And, even a lot of people, that they would make the mistake, will say, when they start exercising kind of for the first time, that they would just do too much too soon. They might do a long session in the gym 3 times a week when they've done nothing for maybe years before it. And, people are far better off just kind of easing themselves into it slowly and leave the body acclimatise to it, and, in a step-by-step fashion. And that's when people get the best results. And I think, people are more likely to stick to an exercise program if it's a little bit easier to start rather than going too hard too soon. People are more likely to give up on it then if it's a little bit too difficult at the start.
Yeah, like you run advanced physio on the Dunmore Road. You're a sports therapist, a master's in orthopaedic medicine. Let's talk briefly about the home workout. So let's talk about the different workouts that people can do at home. And they're looking at maybe some of these Instagram postings and they're seeing all these curved, amazing bodies, and they're thinking, oh wow, if I do a 15-minute workout like this, I'm going to turn out as beautiful as that person. It's bull, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like it's it really, like from an exercise perspective, you really have to stick with it for a long period of time to get the best benefits. And in the short term, like what you can do in a week or two, where it's great to get a start, but it's you're not going to get that kind of Instagram body by just in a week or two or anything like that. That would take a lot of commitment over a long period of time, and to get there. If you wanted to put in that effort to get there, that is so.
Yeah. Now, it is good. It's great that people are doing these exercises, and it's great. And as I said, I've done my first Pilates class on my own at home, 15 minutes, and it's great. And some great stretching that you can do, and there can be great mental benefits from this. How important is it for people? This sounds like such a simple question, Anthony. How important is it for people to exercise?
Well, yeah, I suppose everybody knows about the benefits of exercise, and everybody knows that exercise is good for you. Like, I suppose the first key study ever done on that, it was back in the 1950s, Damien. It was done by The Lancet, which is a really well-respected medical journal. And what they done was they looked at basically the health of London bus conductors versus London bus drivers. And what they found was that the London bus drivers had a 50% higher rate of cardiac events, like we'll say heart attacks and strokes, compared to the bus conductors. And the conclusion they came to was that the bus drivers were basically getting no exercise at all. They were sitting during the day, driving their circular routes around London and had absolutely no activity. Whereas the bus conductors were continually moving up and down the buses, collecting fares, collecting tickets from passengers. And it was that kind of, low intensity exercise was enough to give them that much more protective effect on their heart compared to the bus drivers. Now, as the years have gone on, I suppose the science has got better at understanding why exercise gives us that benefit. Because everybody knows exercise is good for you, but what actually happens? Why do you actually get that benefit? And like what the science is showing now at the moment is that, we'll say, if you take somebody who's got a very sedentary lifestyle, they're not moving, the low activity levels, that person's blood biochemistry tends to be very different to somebody who has lots of activity in their life. And the sedentary person with no activity, basically they have much higher swings in their blood sugar levels. And what happens then is those big swings in blood sugar levels tend to damage the inside of the artery walls, and that's when you get the plaque building up, etc. And you often hear of people going into hospital and such an artery was 80% blocked and another one was 90% blocked. Well, that's where all that comes from. Whereas if you take the person who's kind of exercising quite regularly, the regular activity throughout the day, they tend not to have those blood sugar swings. The blood sugar is much more stabilised. As a result of that, then they're not getting that same damage to the inside of the artery walls, and they're not getting that plaque build-up. And as a result, that person who exercises is going to live a lot longer than the person who lives that sedentary lifestyle.
And then you have running and the 5K challenge, for example. So very simply, just following on from the advice you're giving there, you have to stretch. You have to go out and maybe walk, maybe run 30 seconds. Just take it easy. Build it up gently, yeah?
That's the key. Often when you see people kind of get it running into problems, we'll say with exercise programs and that, it's just that they've taken on too much too soon. Whereas they can, as you said there, just kind of build it up nice and easily, and you start off small. You can build this kind of every day from there. That's when people get the best benefits. And as I said earlier, people are more likely then to stick to an exercise program when they do that, just to start off nice and gently.
Yeah, and some people then are taking up little challenges, like I think the Laura Lynn Foundation are doing, trying to get people to do 100 press-ups a day, which I've been trying myself, and it's tough, so maybe only just 5 press-ups, then 10, and just build it up gently. And I suppose your message seems to be, Anthony, is do the exercise which suits you and do it at the pace that suits you. Is that it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like from a medical perspective, there's a few principles that we always look at. We'll say, if any exercise was causing you pain, you would stop that one straight away. In case you might be doing kind of more damage or something like that. It's always a good thing to bear in mind. Another one would be, we'll say, for example, like different exercises suit different people as well, Damien. So if you had somebody, we'll say, in their 70s who is just after getting a knee replacement versus somebody who's, sports person, quite active and maybe coming back from a knee injury, those two people would require 2 very different exercise programs for the knee. And where you see people running into a little bit of trouble is that they might stumble across a video exercise for the knee online, and they might start doing that, and it just might be the wrong exercise for that person, at that moment in time. So always be careful, listen to your body. If you're getting pain or what you have is getting a little bit worse, maybe stop doing it, and it's time to try maybe a little different approach then.
A couple of very simple, quick questions, if you don't mind, Paul. A texter has frozen shoulder. What exercise can help alleviate the pain from somebody suffering from a frozen shoulder?
Yeah, well, that one is, that's a really tricky condition, the frozen shoulder. It tends not to respond very well, like to exercise or treatment. Like, I'm not sure how long your listener has it now, but like in most cases, those frozen shoulders would kind of basically sort themselves out within a couple of years. It's a long time to have it, but it just is a really tricky condition, and tends not to respond really well. And often what you'll find is, if people start doing exercises for that can aggravate it quite a bit. And unfortunately, it's just one of those conditions. Really, in a lot of cases, you might have to leave run its course.
Yeah, I don't have any more information from the texter. Another person has texted in to say that they broke a bone in their back in January. They're waiting, she's waiting to be called for physiotherapy. She started walking last week, so she's just thinking, how many steps should she be doing a day? She's doing around 12,000 steps a day. Is that too much, or should she build it up gently, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, so that sounds quite a lot, but it might be the case that if Anne is kind of not really getting any problems with her back, doing 12,000 steps a day, that's absolutely fine. So one of those key principles, as we said, is just kind of listen to your body. So if that listener's back started playing up after a while, that might be an indication to stop. Maybe she's done a little bit too much, but if she's doing those 12,000 steps and she's not getting any adverse response from her back, I think she's quite good to do that, absolutely.
And finally, golfer's elbow. Any little tips?
Yeah, that can be a little tricky one as well. Now, so golfer's elbow and tennis elbow, they're kind of both at opposite ends of the elbow, really. That can respond quite quickly to physio treatment. Generally, that responds kind of quite quickly within maybe 2 or 3 sessions, and those ones can come right really quickly. So absolutely, it's a better one to have than frozen shoulder. We'll put it that way.
Okay, Anthony, it's a pleasure talking to you. You mind yourself. You're keeping well yourself, are you?
Absolutely, yeah. We closed up there around the end of March, Damien, so we're hopefully now we'll get to go ahead to open up maybe again in the next few weeks, and everybody will get back to normal, touch wood.
Okay, well listen, you mind yourself and take it easy, okay?
Likewise, Damien. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. Really appreciate it there. Anthony Phelan, owner of Advanced Physio on the Dunmore Road. We might have Anthony back next week to talk, because a lot of people are texting in with their different questions, I suppose, regarding such matters. Now, as part of our Out and About series, I spoke to people in Dungarvan Shopping Centre about how they're getting on, how they're managing. Are they getting a bit annoyed, or what are they thinking about the whole lockdown or lock-in situation? The little piece I have here ends with Jerry O'Connor, who's the manager of Dungarvan Shopping Centre. Again, all these interviews done at the social distance requirement. How's the shopping going?
I'm sure it's grand.
Have you everything done?
Yeah, for another week, hopefully.
What's your own name?
It's Margaret.
Margaret what?
Baldwin.
From where, Margaret?
Kilmacthomas.
How are you getting on?
Grand, yeah. Fed up now, but sure, what can we do? Keep
Everybody
going.
is a bit fed up, aren't they?
Yeah, keep going. The weather is great. Get out for the walks. That's about all we can do, really.
What are you finding the most difficult?
Oh, it's just being stuck in the house, isn't it? And not being able to work and that sort of stuff. But sure, we're all in the same boat.
What about family?
There's 5 of us at home, the older girls and then a 12-year-old. So he's finding it hard. He's not embarrassed. But sure, he's bored, it's to be expected.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, best of luck.
Thanks anyway.
Thanks, Margaret. Thank you. Hello. I'm just doing a bit for WLR about how people are getting on.
Okay.
How are you finding it?
It's okay. Tough enough. It's trying to pass the day, but we've 2 kids at home, so it's, we've a garden, so we're trying to keep busy and keep routined. But it's just seeing no end to it is kind of daunting,
What's the children's name? Give them a mention. Where are you?
Sarah and Pippa. We're out in Ballon Road.
And it is difficult for them. How old are they, like?
They're 6 and 10. So it is, oh my God. I mean, the structure is gone, and the socialisation with their friends as well, particularly. It's hard. No, they're fine. They're good. They have each other, but it's just strange for everybody.
What do you think should be done? Should they be looking at going back to school 1 day a week? Or
Absolutely. I heard that on the radio. Simon Harris announced it, and that'll be fantastic for both the kids and for the parents, just to get a bit of structure back into their lives and to meet their friends, most importantly. And if they could do that, it would be brilliant.
And would you be happy from a health perspective?
I mean, it would have to be strictly monitored, obviously, but I'm sure there is a way around it. If we can go in and do our shopping in Duns, I'm sure there's a way of bringing kids in small numbers into a big school. I would think, I hope, I really hope.
Thanks. What's your name?
Aisling.
Thanks, Aisling.
Thank you.
Excuse me. How are you managing?
Grand, okay, yeah.
Yeah?
Tough enough.
All right?
It is, yeah.
I'm on maternity leave, so it's not as bad for me, probably.
Yeah. It's hard going.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be over soon.
How's he doing that?
He's doing well. Little boy, he's only 9 weeks old.
What's his name?
Oren.
Oren, lovely.
Yeah.
And where are you yourselves? Where are you living?
I'm over on Abbey side.
Lovely. Great.
Yeah.
And people are looking out for each other as well. They're keeping an eye on each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, they are, yeah. Everybody is. It's just tough times for everyone.
What about work, do you mind me asking?
Yeah, well, I'm off work at the moment. I'm working doing scaffolding. We're off at the moment because construction's all closed. Hopefully get back soon, yeah.
Yeah.
Just fine weather.
So tell us, there's a few shops open. The butchers, Guns.
Yeah. The butchers, we've 6 stores at the moment open. Butcher's block out of 37. A big hit. But yeah, so that's...
And what does that mean for the centre in terms of rates or in terms of fees, or how does it work out? Have you managed to talk
Obviously, that's a big picture that will be discussed going down the line. Yeah. That'll come. The moment now, the priority is to stay trading, keep the food in the shelves and keep the centre clean and everything ready for the customers that are coming.
There's some shops, like if Duns is open, some people would feel there could be a DIY open, there could be other shops. Are people beginning to question a little bit about some of the stores that could well be open?
No, we've never really got into that because we don't have any DIY or any of those type of stores here in the centre, so it's never really come up.
What about Eason's? I wonder, should Eason's be open?
Well, I suppose that's an essential service to be decided by the government, and we'd have to be governed by them, and we have to follow their guidelines.
How's the running going?
Good. Seen plenty of mountains at the moment. 2 kilometre radius.
Do you find people's attitude is changing slightly in the last few days? Is it a bit more, or is it still the same?
I tell you, to be honest with you now, I found it right from the start to be very, very good. to be fair with everybody, we've not had one complaint on the mall here in the shopping centre, and no complaint about having to queue or something's not there. People know it's what we have to do, and they know it's the stuff will be in the next day if it's not there now.
Now, it's an awful thing to lose your keys. Well, there's a set of keys lost around the Foxwood area this morning around 9 o'clock. A Skoda car key and a number of car keys and a coloured rosary beads with a Medjugorje cross on it. Foxwood area this morning. If you found them, can you please hand them in to somebody, or hand them into WLR here into our reception, or hand them into the Garda station, and we'll try and reunite them with the owner. Now, the council have a number of different phone numbers that if people want to get in touch, and this is part of the government national initiative if they need supplies and different things. Now, what they're doing this week and next week, they're extending the service. They're going to make it even more accessible to people, and they're going to go and talk to people a lot more in terms of mental health and well-being and things like that. So Michael Walsh, the Waterford City and County Council Manager, he's been talking to me about the new expanded service that the council are going to get involved with. The council being involved in the health and well-being of constituents, if that's the right way of putting it, Michael, that's something new, something different.
Yeah, well, it is. I suppose local authorities, Damien, were asked a few weeks ago by government to put in place, first of all, a safeguard, or a fail-safe might be the way I'd put it, that would help with what is wonderfully happening all over the place, where you have neighbours helping neighbours all over the place. And what we were asked to do was put in a bit of a fail-safe that would assist that in many respects, so that there would be a helpline, or there would be contacts there that if anybody fell out of the loop, if you know what I mean, or fell into anything. And we've done that, so we have a call centre effectively, or a helpline that's available 8 to 8.
How are you manning that? How are you staffing that?
That's staffed by primarily library staff, actually, who were closed from the originally, and it's done from Dungarvan Library and Watford Library as we speak, and it's done from, like I say, 12 to 12, 7 days a week, Monday through to Sunday. So that's there as a fail-safe. There's been maybe 500 calls or something like that to that. We were doing that in partnership at national level with a loan as well, so some of those might be calls in terms of befriending or emotional support, and we pass that loan without the expertise, but the others are just practical things. It can be a bit of shopping, it can be anything that people require. We've teams of volunteers across the country, then the likes of the GA, the IFA, volunteer centres, everybody. There's been a whole, the PPN, obviously all the community organisations that are involved in that, and they're distributed all over the county, and we can call on somebody in that instance. But what we are looking to do, of course, is to keep that happening at a very local level, because really we still just want neighbour helping neighbour, and we want it to be within the 2 kilometres if we can do it, and we want it to be on the basis that if it's a bit of shopping, for example, that if somebody does a bit of shopping for somebody when they're doing their own, that we're not generating additional trips or any other thing. That's transitioning now a little bit, where the government have an initiative that will be happening in the next few days, in fact, I think will be launched around essentially mental and physical well-being, where they'd be looking to do everything we possibly can to ensure people's physical and mental well-being. And they're doing that across 2 or 3 teamed areas. But what it means in practical terms tomorrow is we'll be bringing some people that maybe weren't fully engaged back in to start leading a bit of work in that space. So it could be our arts people, for example. We were getting creative people to say, what can we do? And in truth, this is to build on some things that are happening already in the community anyway, because there are some wonderful stuff happening in the community in terms of sharing, in terms of anything from the solo challenges to the Facebook quizzes or the whatever else that are happening out there. But just to look that we would institutionally help build up some of that, so that, I suppose, in a sense, to provide social outlet for people in the circumstances that would. So that could be anything. That could be us delivering books like to people that are cocooned, out to, that would be the likes of our libraries, like I said, the arts people, something like the sports partnership, that they'd actively get involved and be seeking to promote individual active activity, as in physical activity, obviously. So we're doing that, starting to do that again over the next week or two across a wide range of sort of things. And it is, I suppose, inevitably, and it's obvious that people getting bloody tired of this, I think, in many respects, a lot of us. But anything that would help in terms of stimulation or activation of people, we're just being asked to expand on what we were doing with the fail-safe there was, the helpline, into that space. So all of that's happening in the coming days and currently.
Now, thanks to everybody, for all our listeners, for all your texts. Just heard your piece from Dungarvan Shopping Centre, says this texter. Well done to Dunn's management and staff for the way they're dealing with the present situation there as well. Thank you, everybody, for all your texts this morning. Thanks for all your phone calls. Keep your hero entries, I suppose. It's not a competition. Keep your hero entries coming in to the website and also to the text number. Thanks, Julie, for producing. Jeff is up next. Stay safe. We'll talk to you tomorrow for Happy Friday.